Welcome to the show, everybody. We are welcoming Mr. Mark England. Mark England is the co-founder and head coach of Enlifted, a practical mindset coaching system. Mark is on a mission to defeat the victim mentality by certifying coaches, teachers, and leaders in how to utilize the Enlifted method, so they can empower their clients to take action, become more in control of their life, and optimize their mental well-being. Mark has been researching, presenting, and coaching on the power of words and stories for the past 16 years. He has personally certified 320 plus Enlifted coaches. He's given over 1,000 professional presentations and been interviewed on over 345 podcasts. And this makes it now 346. Woo. Welcome to the show to Raw Babes. We're so honored and grateful for you to be here.
Thank you, Mark.
Ladies, thank you. That was quite the introduction.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're on the path of greatness. I love it.
Absolutely. If you can talk a little bit about you and who you are, how you kind of came to be into this present moment, we would love to know.
Shall we start in high school? Why not?
Let's do it.
I was
Remember
when
that,
you were born,
everybody?
when you came out of the vagina. Let's go.
The first 2 hours of my existence. Yeah, so I thought I was a tough guy once upon a time. I wrestled in high school and got into Brazilian jiu-jitsu in college, and that went straight into Thai boxing, and I had a handful of amateur MMA fights and won a couple of state kickboxing titles, and I wanted to go pro as a fighter. This is back in the late 90s when it wasn't even called MMA at the time. It was called No Rules, or NHB, or if you want to get all John McCain about it, human cockfighting. People, it was not cool. It was not cool. People didn't know what really it was, and people looked at it kind of weird. And it's pretty mainstream now. And anyway, I decided to move to Thailand in 2002 when I graduated college. And the plan was to go over there for a year, train. I had a job lined up. The plan was to go over there and train for a year, polish up my kickboxing, and come back and go pro. And this was a very big deal for me.
Most people do that when they go to Thailand. They just go to level up their training and fucking see where it takes them, I guess.
Or they go for the ladies.
There's a lot of reasons to go. I ended up living over there for 10 years.
Whoa, Mark.
I know.
Wow.
That still sounds weird to say. I was over there for a decade, which is absolutely part of, and always will be part of, the origin story of the Abracadabra. And so I'd only had my passport for 2 years. I had 3 going away parties. Okay. This is, like I said, this is a big deal for me. And I moved over there, and 6 months in, I'm having my second knee surgery. And the whole thing stopped quite dramatically. And the doctor said, I remember this, I know this is some common language. I remember it was like it was yesterday. Mark, your career as a fighter is over.
Oh.
You could become a very good swimmer. And I'm picturing doing laps next to grandma at the pool. Not what I had in mind at 26, 27 years old.
No, thank you.
No, thanks. And so darkness descended.
Oh.
And I used that, at the time, what I considered to be the end-all, be-all fail, as the final piece of damning evidence in a case that I was secretly making against myself, that I was not good enough, there was something wrong with me, and I was somehow doomed to fail. And now I've got the final piece of conclusive evidence. It's true. You're a loser because you went after what you made a big move and then, poof. So I didn't laugh for an entire year, which is it's a very strange thing to do. Don't recommend it. And after a year of that, lucky me, and I knew I had a problem. Here's when I knew I had a problem.
Okay.
So I went over there with my girlfriend from college, who, I'll just go ahead and say it. She was best looking girl in school, fantastic personality, just score.
Whole package.
10 out of 10.
10, yeah, for sure.
Dimer.
10 out of 10.
We call them dimes.
It's a dime.
That's what y'all call them. It's a dimer. Yeah, she was a dimer.
10.
And right around that same time as I'm having, I had that second knee surgery, she was getting restless, and because it was, one, I wasn't any fun anymore, and two, I was laid up, and she's like, I'm gonna start taking salsa dancing lessons. It's like, okay. And so she did, and I couldn't dance. I couldn't even walk without a limp. And we would go on the weekends. She would take some lessons during the week, and we would go to this Cuban salsa dancing studio, this club called La Rueda. This is in Bangkok, which means the wheel. And she'd dance, and I'd be at the bar. I remember one night, and I'm about 7 deep, and she's out there getting spun around on the dance floor by these slick ass Cuban dudes. And newsflash, you know what Cuban dudes like? Hot women. Wow, never could have guessed that. And yeah, it's rocket science. And I'm watching that, and we're in the community and whatever, and they're trying to get her out the door underneath my nose, and I didn't care. I was just cold. I could care less. And I was like, oh, whoa, dude. That was just an ice. My heart was frozen. I was like, buddy, you're in it. I didn't articulate it like that, but that was the first time that I knew I was in some shit. And shortly thereafter, because we were both working at an international school, I was an elementary school PE teacher. She was the librarian, and she left after 3 years. I stayed there 5 in Bangkok at that school, the American School of Bangkok. Shout out to them. And yeah, I was an elementary school PE teacher for 5 years. The funnest gig ever. I taught dodgeball. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love kids.
Dodgeball and frisbee, and I took her swimming and played soccer.
Oh,
for 5 years straight. And our principal came back. He'd come back from this cleansing resort down on Koh Samui, which is an island in the Gulf of Thailand. And he goes, hey man, they're doing these really cool cleanses down there. Check the website out. And I did. And I was like, you know what? I'll go do that. It's not going to make anything worse. So I go down there and do a 7-day cleanse where you basically pay them to not eat. It's a great business model. And it's like, here's my money, and I get a coconut and a yoga class.
It does not include food.
Does not, no, not at all. I mean, you get some herbal pills and stuff, and then like a pass to and there was a ton of really cool international people there. It was an absolute scene, and I left feeling better. So I went back again. And then I went back again. So the third time down there. So we're getting down. Here's the story of when I saw someone have their story go from to flat to round by changing one word. This dude, Barry Musgrave, who's 80 years old now. I had no idea that guy was going to be my first mentor in this work. It was a workshop on emotional detoxification. And me being as wise as I am, I laughed at it. I was like, emotional detoxification. I went though. Glad I did.
Yeah.
And he talked about words, he talked about stories, he talked about identities, and he asked if anyone's stuck on a story. And this woman shot her hand up, and it was a stinger of a breakup. Here's what happened. Here's the short story. She's in college. Her and her friends for spring break, get a house down at the beach. Her boyfriend and his friends get the house next door.
Okay.
Add alcohol, press play.
Shit.
He hooks up with her best friend in front of everybody one night and then dumps her in front of everybody the next night.
It's like the worst TV show ever.
Can we all say ouchie on 3?
1,
and
2, 3.
Ouchie.
Ouchie.
Don't prompt us to do something because we're going to do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Good one.
We're gamers.
Good one. Gamers. Love it. And she hadn't been in a relationship since.
Wow.
It had been 4 years. And this story, most people can relate to a story taking up a lot of mental real estate, more so than we'd like to give it. Right. And she'd thought about this story every single day, multiple times a day for 4 years. Hadn't gotten in a relationship since. And he had her tell the story, which she did, played it through. Didn't touch any of the words. We're going to talk a lot about words today. We'll talk more about words and how they influence us for better and for worse today on this show than most people have ever heard in their entire schooling.
Let's go.
Let's fucking do this.
Fuck yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to do a round of applause.
Dig it. Dig it. So she played the story through, and she's angry and crying. Then he had her play the story through again, and he changed some of the words. And now you could see how that would shift the perspective. And now she's sad, no tears. And this dude knew what he was doing. He had her play the story the third time and then stopped it on the one sentence that held the whole thing together. The one sentence, the one spell. Y'all know what the definition of a spell is, everybody who's listening to this? This is Webster's definition, not mine. The definition of a spell is a word or a combination of words of great influence. That's it. And it goes both ways. They can be expansive in nature. Man, I've got a lot of support. Take out the man. I've got a lot of support. That's a combination of words that greatly influences someone, makes them feel better. It paints a nice picture in their imagination. It helps them breathe well. It helps them position their body in a more confident position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, you know, nobody will ever really love me. That's also a combination of words that of great influence. It just does it's the same mechanism. It just creates it influences the same aspects of ourself differently. You know, it'll create that dense, heavy energy. Okay. It'll force us to stare at, you know, some of the not so highlight parts of our life. It'll put us in a stress response, trap our breath. Okay. It'll create, so when I talk about language, I mean internal dialogue and external dialogue. What we think, what we say, what we write. And our language, our thoughts, our speech, and what we text and type or write influences 4 key aspects of our experience of ourselves. Our imagination. You know what that is? That's the pictures in the little mental movies you make. That's what your imagination is.
Right.
Your emotions, feelings, energy. Your posture. What do you mean posture? Ever talk yourself into a bad mood, everybody, and stay there for a little while? And none of us have ever done that. And it starts to shape the posture. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the words. Look at the words. I'm down in the dumps. Or I'm carrying a heavy load, or I'm falling behind. and then talk yourself into a good mood and stay there. And it's I'm over the moon, or things are looking up.
I love it.
Okay. Or I'm on top of my game. So our language places us, it's a big word, psychogeographically speaking, in our imagination. And most people are not trained how to use it well. And then last thing, so out of the 4, imagination, feelings and emotions, posture, and then breath. Here it is in a nutshell, everybody.
Ooh.
Most people's language is working against them, unbeknownst to them. It's an education issue. And their breathing is trapped in their chest. Guess what? When someone is in a stress state, upregulated state, breath is trapped in the chest, you can get them to do all kinds of stupid shit. People are easy to control when they're scared.
That's
You got it.
Exactly. And a lot of the stuff that we agree upon, because we chatted for a little bit before we started this thing, this podcast, is a lot of what they're able to pull off is predicated on the victim mentality, the unresolved victim mentality that people carry around personally, that's in there unbeknownst to them, because we've got a glitch in our language. It's like you inflame that thing, and then you can, it's called problem reaction solution. Create a problem, get the reaction, you've already got the solution ready, and people just walk right off the cliff. We'll get to the definition of the victim mentality here shortly, because most people have never heard it. It's important. And so that sentence that woman was saying that held the whole thing together was this. And he had to repeat it 3 times. So everybody in that workshop is looking at the same configuration of words, the same sentences, the same spell. Here it is. He did that to me. He had to repeat it again. He did that to me. Everybody hear what she just said? He did that to me. And then he had her take that last word, take out me, and put in himself. And it was such a radical departure from that story that she'd been relentlessly engulfing her psyche with, that it was clunky, and it went up at the end. It's called up talk. He did that to himself.
Yep.
And then it catches.
Yeah.
And the breath comes out. He did do that to himself. And then she starts looking around. She's not even in the room anymore. She's in her imagination, gathering evidence of why it was actually worse for him. And she was like, he did. And she talked about how he lost friends and then got in a fight. And then she just put the cherry on the icing on the cake. That was never going to work out anyway. That guy was actually really weird.
Fucking right. Let me give it one of these. Yes.
You gave me goosebumps.
Me too.
With that, that breath of like that change in dialogue and the he did that to himself. It's like, just let that shit go.
I have a question. I'd love for you to do a turnaround for this. When people say this is hard, I'd like a turnaround for that, because so many people go, this is hard, or this is, I can't do that. It's like they're stuck in that. So what do you have? What can you just
a couple angles?
Okay.
A couple angles you could take. Translation light would be to add a because and inquire why. This is hard.
Okay.
Because, and you put a because on the end of a sentence, and you're going to get the why.
Okay.
This is because I don't have the resources to do this, or I'm not supported, or I don't know what I'm doing. And then you get more of the content, and then it's easier to point them in a different direction or dispel the whole thing together. My favorite one to do, I do this all day long. One of my favorite ones, because it's so common, is I'm not good enough.
Okay.
I'm not good enough. That sentence, it shades every single thing. Like wherever I look, I can't see, we'll talk about the reticular activating system, evidence of me being good enough, even though I might be staring it right in the face. I'm not good enough to be in a loving relationship, even though you're in a loving relationship. Does that person love you? Do you love them? But yet that sentence forces you to edit all of that information out and then you just put, for what? I'm not good enough for what? You need more info. Okay. So that's one angle to take. And if you really want to pluck them in the nose, it's really hard. It's
I just
hard.
pictured a chicken like.
Oh yeah. But take out the its and put in I.
Okay.
I'm really hard. I'm really hard on myself. That's what you're really saying. Because very rarely it's not the thing it's hard. It's the story we make about the thing that's hard. And it's not even further still. It's not the story that we make about the thing. It's the story of us. It's the story that we tell ourselves about whether we can do it or not, whether we're good enough to do it or not, whether we deserve to do it or not. And that's mindset. So a lot of people talk about mindset a lot. Fantastic. Keep doing it. And I invite you to ask even the experts, what is it? Hey, what's mindset? And most of the time, if they have a definition at all, it's going to be this big philosophical clunky thing that's hard to implement. We have a definition. We have a definition. Enlifted has a definition of mindset. And guess what? It's simple. Here it is.
Let's go.
I was like, what is it? Come on.
It's the story you tell yourself.
Right.
That's what your mindset is.
Yeah.
Your mindset is the story that you tell yourself to yourself about yourself, what you can do and what you can't do, and what is possible and what isn't possible, and what you do deserve and what you don't deserve. And 99% of that shit's an opinion. I'm not good enough is not on the periodic table of elements. Okay. Nothing, no doctor goes, hey, here's your baby. She weighs 9. Nothing ever works out for me. And 6, fuck my life. They're not units of measurement. Okay. They're opinions. And a lot of times they're way off.
It's so beautiful.
Oh my God.
So Mark, I have to share, I did a little study on myself. I teach functional fitness. I've been doing it forever. And it came to a point in my training how important the breath work part was. So here I am on the rower. I'm fucking giving her, right? And I'm like, I'm fucking dying. Like, shit, I fucking suck. This is fucking hard. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. I want to stop. And then I'm like, well, if I stop, then I look like a goddamn idiot because nobody else is stopping. I can't stop. I'm in a class, right? And I'm like, hey, I'm only here for a short amount of time. Let's make the best use of my time. So I had to switch my mindset. And what I'd noticed is from telling myself I'm shit, I'm a loser, I can't fucking do this, to I got this. This is a small blip of my life. I'm going to be stronger for it. Let's make the best use of my time. The pain body changed. And I noticed at a molecular structure, there was such a contrast between the two. And because of that moment, nobody ever taught me that. I had amazing coaches, but nobody articulated that part. And so now in my training, it's the breath work, what type of breath work we're doing during the time of the training that you're at. Understand when it does start getting hard, we have this dialogue that comes through. And because it gets hard. And when things get hard, because I don't know where we're at in this culture and society, all that inner child, all that inner doubt starts coming out. Can I even fucking do this? And then all of a sudden it spirals down. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a loser. So I pound it into my classes and my clients that I can see when that part starts, because people start putting hands on their thighs and fuck, composure's all miscombobulated all over the place. And I'm like, okay, this is the mindset part. So what are you saying to yourself? You're going to notice a significant difference in your pain body. It's choice. Do you want to talk to yourself with love and kindness and with a little bit of optimism, or do you want to keep talking to yourself like shit? So it really just comes down to, if that inner dialogue is not lifting you up, literally, It's fucking legitimately
Pulling you
pulling you down.
Yeah. Your pre-workouts have got nothing on the victim mentality. The victim mentality is the real pre-workout of the fitness industry. The trash talking that people walk into the gym with to get them one more rep. I'm going to prove them all wrong. Look at this. I'll sleep when I'm dead. No, you won't. You're going to go home tonight, and if you don't get a good night's sleep, you're going to be in pieces tomorrow.
You'll be crying yourself to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. No, like go hard or go home. How about go hard and then go home and have a nice meal and get to bed early? It's like the words.
The words you use in the now.
Correct. And if you change the way you talk to yourself, that which you did, that means you're using different words. When someone says I changed my mind, that means I'm using different words. When someone tells their coach you changed my life, that means you helped me change my story.
Mm-hmm.
And if they change their story, they change their words. So mindset is talked about. This is so fucking blatantly obvious.
Oh man.
And I've got an IQ of 12. I'm an former elementary school PE teacher with a handful of MMA fights. Why am I talking about the words so much? It seems to me like this is so damn obvious, and that is part of the problem, that this thing should have been sorted out a long time ago. And talk about a long time ago. The ancients knew this. Okay, the people that were paying attention to themselves, they knew that. And so when I say abracadabra, what do you all immediately think of?
Magic.
Yeah.
I've asked a lot of people that. Most people go to magic. There's always a Steve Miller Band somewhere. And somebody goes, right?
Oh
right.
my God.
Gonna reach out and grab you. So either way, that's still under magic.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out there's more to it than that. So abracadabra is Aramaic.
Okay.
Which is one of the two languages Jesus spoke. It's the language the original Old Testament was written in. And abracadabra translates to with my word I create, or with my word I influence. And they would wear it around their neck.
Ooh, look at you.
Oh yeah. It's a custom piece. Shout out to William Author Jewelry.
Shout out.
Instagram. Look at that. Look up that guy's page, William Author Jewelry on Instagram. They would triangulate it and wear it around their neck. You'll see this piece on there.
I got goosebumps.
Remind them of the power and the mechanism of the spoken word.
Damn.
Because they knew that if their language was working against them, they were in an uphill battle. They also knew what happened if they got their language working for them. They could do all kinds of they could do what they wanted to do.
That's right.
And
they're making fucking what was it? Egypt. I'm thinking Egypt. I don't know. Fucking lost.
Yeah, pyramids.
Thank you.
Fucking pyramids. You know,
I was gonna say that's a pyramid, like next level.
It is. And mindset, as it's talked about currently, it's this big picture thing that we know we need to get better at, but how?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that confident person looking over there, and that, wow, that looks nice and fun, and I'm over here. Whoops. So when we add in the part of the conversation of mindset about what words to use less of and why, and what words to use more of and why, now mindset becomes practical, as in you can practice thinking, speaking, and writing in more conscious, productive, empowering ways. Stay focused on what's important, keep the confidence up, keep the drama down, and one, do a bunch of cool shit and not get taken advantage of by people and groups that have built mega industries off of the back of the collective victim mentality.
Totally.
Dude, it's I love where this conversation's going, because I feel like we have so much to talk about still.
I'm obsessed. This is literally what everybody needs to hear.
Yes.
Keep going.
They can't always just hear it from us. They got to hear it from you.
The language. it's ready to flip.
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial. And so I'll do this twice if it's okay. I'll recite the definition of the victim mentality. Most people have never heard it.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
And what I invite your audience to do is to pick up a pen and write it down, because
I'm doing it.
out of there, I mean, very few people have ever heard the definition, verbatim definition of the victim mentality, and fewer still have written it down. And here are the numbers: 30, 50, 80. We remember 30% of what we hear, 50% of what we write, 80% of what we turn around and teach and share. Okay. So I'll do the first one slow, and then I'll speed it up the second time and add some polish, some context to it.
Okay.
The victim mentality is an acquired personality trait where a person tends to regard himself or herself as the victim of the negative actions of others, even in the absence of clear evidence. The victim mentality depends on a habitual thought process and attributions. I took a pinch out of the middle. That's the verbatim definition of the victim mentality. Let's do that again faster. The victim mentality is an acquired personality trait where a person tends, it's a tendency. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. A person tends to regard himself or herself or zerself as the victim of the negative actions of others. I did do that. Even in the absence of clear evidence. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Compelled pronouns, love them. Kidding. The victim mentality depends. Underline that word, depends.
Depends.
On a habitual thought process and attributions. Habitual thought process. Habitual accurately implies addiction, a duration and addiction. Most people know someone who's addicted to a victim mentality. Do either of you two know someone who's addicted to a victim mentality? Oh, do tell, what's their life like?
Lonely.
A whole lot of victim shit.
Lonely, like, drama, lack on
the
the pathway to when you lose your mind because you're not being socially inept,
it's just a straight up circle jerk of the same thing, the same day, different fucking problem.
Yeah.
Repeat.
They'll yes, because those language patterns are so ingrained. They'll walk into any situation and find the villain.
Yeah.
It's incredible. There's people that will find a problem for every fucking solution.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Every single one. And
then what's it like being around them? It sucks the air out of the room.
It's just the vampire energy.
Big time. And then, I mean, I've asked a lot of people that, hey, know somebody who's got a dumpster fire of a victim mentality? Everybody raises their hand to that. Nobody likes being around them. Nobody likes being on a team with them in any kind of professional setting. And they're addicted to that shit. Okay. Crack cocaine's got nothing on the victim mentality as far as addictive properties and the wideness of use. And yeah, so that last sentence is right between the eyes, right where it belongs. The victim mentality depends, as it has to have a habitual thought process and attributions. Habitual thought process. What is a thought process? Your thought, we all have a thought process. That's the words we use on a regular basis. That's what a thought process is. And if there are certain words in our thought process that are used on a regular basis, then we get the victim villain picture, whether we like it or not. He did that to me. 2 + 2 = 4. He did that to me. It forces her to put him in the picture once again. And he's in there, she's in there, he's doing something to her, even though that happened 4 years ago, and she's on a beautiful island in the Gulf of Thailand, but her mind is consumed with this story. And she, in her imagination, she's got to wait for him to change so she can feel better. Don't hold your breath, even though you are, because you're in a stressed state. That's called a projection. So there's three pillars of what we call conflict language, which is, and before we threw 2014, we threw our first online course in the trash, which is no small thing to do for two dudes bootstrapping a business, because before we called conflict language, we called it victim mentality language. And we shot the whole thing and we're like, we got to walk this back because it's too strong of a place to start. So conflict language, it's the language patterns that people use to script their victim mentalities. And there's three main pillars. We've already touched on one: projections, negations, and soft talk. And those three pillars are responsible for roughly 85% of people's of the language patterns that they use to, light their life on fire. And so projections, the key words: he, she, they, zer, mom, dad, people's first names. And it sounds like this: she's wasting my time. I need him to respect me. I won't let them do that to me again. All of those sentences force the victim villain mental imagery. There's the villain, I'm the victim, completely absolved of responsibility in this whole thing, by the way, right? Because I'm the innocent victim. Yeah, sure. And sure. And hello stress response. Hello stress response. The projections, that's the last place we suggest people starting with their words, because that's where most of the time the higher levels of emotional upregulation are. And the stronger the emotional charge, the stronger the white knuckle grip is on the sentence, also known as the attachment to the story. So high emotional charge, breath trapped in the chest, attachment to the story. Okay, that's projections. And what do you do with those? The fastest way to break a spell, everybody, is to write it down.
Okay. Yeah.
The fastest way to break a spell is to write it down. And this is not journaling. Okay. Journaling, this is exploration. Journaling, for the most part, is when people write about something, usually in a general, vague way, and use it as proof of their position. It's like, all right, there, I got it in writing. No, get your words on paper so you can play with your words. Your mom said, don't play with your food. Mark England is telling you, play with your words. Okay. So get the words on paper so you can start changing them out and giving yourself different perspectives. So, mom always talks to me like a child. Okay. Well, okay. Well, that's irritating. And I listen to the Raw Babes podcast, so I know what to do here. Take out mom, put in I. I always talk to me like a child. Wow. That's got a little different flavor to it.
We're clapping. We are clapping.
Oh, nice.
We are clapping.
Yeah. Right. That's called angel singing. When you go from to okay. That's when you grow up.
That's when you grow up and take radical fucking responsibility for yourself.
Yep. And there's only one way to take radical responsibility from a position of disempowerment, and that's to change your words. Okay.
Thank you. It's a beautiful start, because I feel like often when you're down into the depths of all of this, you don't know where to turn. You don't know what's the right path. I mean, the wrong path, you've been probably doing it for some time that makes it feel normal. So it's just like, it is what it is. But when you have that sense of there's got to be something more, I totally agree that it can really just start with your words. 100%.
Yep. And the sooner that you get to thinking about your thinking. So the great Alan Watts, who's the greatest Zen teacher the West has ever and will ever know, he said, when you learn to think about your thinking, you become alive in a new way. And there's no better time than today to start doing it, because the longer someone reps those victim stories, the more part of them is depending on it being true. And it becomes more and more likely for them to surround themselves with people of a similar mindset. And that's when you're really fucked hard, is when all your friends are sharing. It's called trauma bonding.
Oh,
thank you.
That's exactly.
It's when your friends are just talking about how everything sucks and there's no opportunity out there, and they tell their story of when they were wronged, and then they tell their story of when they were wronged, and then whoever has the most wronged story wins. It's the victim Olympics. Then you're in it. And so when someone gets brave and adventurous, and goes from mom always talks to me like a child to I always talk to me like a child. And well, you know, it's not always, it's sometimes. I sometimes talk to me like a child. You can down regulate yourself, everybody. If you know how to play the word game, then you're so far ahead of the game. You're actually in the game. If you don't know how to play the word game, you're just you're at the mercy of whatever sounds show up in your head and what fall out of your mouth and what squiggles come out of the end of your fingers. You're a slave to that shit. Don't worry about Justin Trudeau. That's the thing that's really kicking your ass all over the place.
Let's do a. No, that wasn't the one.
That wasn't it.
I wanted
it's another class.
That's what I wanted.
Oh, I see.
Dun-dun-dun.
All right.
That was like an abracadabra.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean this stuff, everybody. And so you take out the, you know, they're wasting my time. Take out the there, put in I'm wasting my time. Really,
Love
I mean,
it.
who's wasted more of your time than you? There's not even a close second. Who's talked more shit to you about you than you? There's not a close second. But somebody says something remotely close to the stuff that we've whispered in our head relentlessly for years, and now they're to blame.
We lose our shit.
Go nuts. Have a nuclear meltdown, and yeah. And so those are projections. Then there's negations.
Negations.
Here are the keywords.
Right? Negations.
Projections, negations. The keywords, there's only a handful of each one of these words, or each one of these language type keywords. Can't, won't, isn't, not, hasn't, haven't, shouldn't, don't. Those words. So my grandmother was a third-degree black belt Olympic gold medalist in the art of worrying.
Oh, okay. I was like,
gotcha.
Yeah, you got us.
So good. She was like, so good.
My great grandfather was a Golden Gloves boxer. So I was like, so that's right.
Yeah, that's way better than having a black belt and worrying. And she would worry and worry and worry. And and how, so what is that? That's when you're forced to stare at the worst case scenarios. And negation words do that. You know, I won't let that happen again. I won't make that mistake again. There's a picture of me making that mistake again. You know, I don't like it when I spend all my money. There's a picture of me spending all my money. I can't keep focusing on my past. There's a picture of me focusing on my past. Once again, my driving teacher said when I got in the car, look where you want to go, because you're probably going to go there. That was over 30 years ago, and I'm still talking about it. And he's right. And here's a story about it. I'm in Calgary, 2014. I do a workshop for an insurance company, and I stay after and do one-on-one sessions with all their people. And I'm in a room, 2 chairs, doing a session with a young guy, 22, 23, who's struggling at work. And this is what he said. And this is what he did. He goes, Mark, I can't keep focusing on my past. And I'm assuming this is just audio. I just turned around and I did it. True story. I did it easier than he did, because if I did it as hard as he did, my headset would have flown off. Because he turned around and looked behind him, everybody, and it wasn't a micro movement. It wasn't like he scratched his nose. No, he turned around and looked completely behind him, and then turned back and looked at me, and I'm staring straight at him, and I go, dude, you know you just turned around and looked behind you, right? And he goes, really? So now we're back to the four aspects of ourself that language influences instantly and simultaneously. His posture. And then I asked him, right? I was like, what did you see? Because I knew he made some kind of picture. You know, he had to think about it. I saw myself on the couch and all alone. And then I asked him, how are you feeling? And he said, angry and a little bit scared. And I didn't need to ask, because I could see where he was breathing. He was breathing in his chest. And so me, being Dr. Rocket Science, I hand him a pen and I said, write that sentence down. And he goes, which one? And I knew which one, because I was paying more attention to his language than he was. He was too busy believing himself. He was too busy just going with his thoughts instead of thinking about his thinking. And I said, I can't keep focusing on my past, which he did. Again, fastest way to break a spell is to write it down. The fastest way to slow down the story, which is usually the precursor to changing words, is to write it down. And he wrote that sentence down. I can't keep focusing on my past. And I said, if that's what you, so now we're into what to do with the negation keywords. Remember those keywords? The opposite of a negation is an affirmation. I said, if that's what you can't keep doing, what can you start doing? And he was even worse than that woman with the bad breakup. He didn't even get a full sentence out. Focus on my future more? It went up at the end. And I said, yeah, now turn it into a full sentence. And man, he had to practice. It was like he was just learning a new language, which he was. He was just learning to use his language differently. Yeah. Take some time. All good. You see the breath unlocking. I can focus on my future more. I can focus on my future more. And now that we've got him pointed in the right direction, that what can you do? And he identified 3 things. Read the 2 books that he'd been procrastinating on, sign up for the mentorship program, and then go out for drinks with everybody first Tuesday a month, because all the best, people that were selling them. And he did that shit. And he wrote me 9 months later and he said, hey man, I'm making money. I moved out and my life is great. Thanks.
Wow.
And right.
Like,
come on.
The contrast is so obvious.
That's so beautiful.
It's part of the problem, and it's definitely part of the opportunity. What do I mean by it's so obvious? It's the most basic, obvious shit in the world, as in it's the most easiest thing to overlook. It's right between our ears, it's right under our nose, and it's right at the end of our fingertips. And very frequently people fall into the trap of thinking that the answer to their big fuck off problems, the answer has to be as equally large and complicated. And that is not the truth.
No,
what the truth is, and I can prove this, pick up a pen and write that story down. Yeah. And once them words are on paper, I mean, you can sort out all kinds of stuff, and that you can do this stuff on your own. Like, I didn't need a doctorate to, even this just didn't happen to me. I've probably done 500 divorce stories in coaching sessions. I didn't need a doctorate to create a story of why I can't trust men when my dad cheated on my mom when I was 9 and I didn't see him for 2 years. I didn't need a doctorate to create that story. And I don't need a doctorate to pick up a pen and write that story down and change some of my words. Okay. Wow. So it's we've outsourced us in all kinds of stuff. Hey, my emotions, I don't want anything to do with them. Give me a fucking pill. Right. It's my health and well-being. Dr. Fauci take the wheel, not Jesus. And it's just this. No, your words, your story. It's the best of news and it's the worst of news that we're creating our own story. It's like, sweet, that sounds great. And then fuck, I'm creating my own story. And so, yeah, we've got projections, and I get fired up about this stuff. We've got projections.
I would too if I had the platform you do. I'd go off, man.
I've been, I don't know where the energy comes from. It just comes from, I've fallen in love a couple of times, a couple of times on site. And one of them was when I saw that woman go from he did that to me to he did that to himself. And it's held my attention since. And I was just on a somewhat relevant side note. I was a monster in school. I hated school. Kids aren't supposed to sit that long. Sorry, they're not supposed to sit that long. Oh, and then I'll bring up Barbell Shrugged here in a second if that means anything.
Yeah, no, I love.
You're in the fitness industry, huh?
Yeah, I've been following them.
But I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm like, what happened to our dime piece and our salsa? Like back when you were telling the story about, you were in this place. What happened? You can't
She-
leave us.
she
You
left.
can't leave us hanging.
Yeah, she went back to the States, and I was her college sweetheart. She went back to the States and married her high school sweetheart.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah, and that dude's cool as shit. He's a
Oh.
doctor, and they have 4 kids, and they're a
Oh.
surf tribe. They lived in Costa Rica for a bunch of years. I was texting her this morning. We're still good friends. Always
That's
will be.
amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, shout out to
Mm.
Heather
Yeah.
Rains Sullivan.
And it's so cool because when you look back at that moment with her going on her path, opened up that new path for you. So it was a pretty
Yeah.
big conduit for your journey of awakening.
Yeah,
Mark-
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a big deal when you can look at stuff that happened that once was the end of the world, and you can say, thank God that happened. That's when you know you've come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know you own the thing. And I can look back at Thailand and go, thank God. Thank God. No, thank you
Yeah.
that happened, because
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. This is a way better thing for me to invest my time and energy into. And I really like the people that I meet through this work. We've graduated a lot of coaches, and I am the head coach. I deliver all the trainings, all the certifications. It's just, I tend to like people more that want to learn to think about their thinking.
Fuck,
I
I
tend
was
to
just thinking about it
enjoy
this
being
morning.
around them.
Yeah.
You know, they're more interesting. They're way more interesting. They laugh more. They laugh a lot more. That's fun. And
If you
yeah,
can
so
make me
that's,
laugh, we're best friends.
Yeah.
Just saying.
oh yeah, I'm good at that. I'm good at that.
Mm.
And yeah, so we can talk about Barbell Shrugged.
Mhm.
Somebody had a question. I can
Yeah.
talk about
Tiffany
soft talk. We can go in 3 different directions. I can talk about what happened in 2018, which is further proof that, you know, when you change your stories, you change your reaction to unfortunate events. Those are 4 different places we can go.
Ooh.
Let's just do all of it. And while we start doing all of it, I'm going pee. So have fun.
Cool.
Kristen's got a small bladder.
It's
Actually it's part of our show.
It's part of my healing. I'm
Is it?
going to change the language.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
I'm healing
Hey.
it right now.
Bathroom's right over there. I'm going to enjoy going to the bathroom.
No, Mark, I wanted to just bring attention to why you said you were so passionate about it. And then also when you mentioned the IQ thing, I feel like you're so grounded in the natural state of the energy of this world that has to offer. And the reason why you're so passionate is because you're coming from your roots, where we all should be. Well, let me refrain my language here, because I mean, it is what it is where we're at. And I do truly believe that we're here as the cleanup crew to reintroduce our roots, our ways of thinking that is actually not detrimental to our lives. And we're so far removed from this practice that now, because we're so passionate about it, we filled our cups with these concepts that we know, because it's changed our lives, how much it's going to change the world around us. And it's really important that we step into that role, because now that we're passionate about it, this doesn't seem like, oh, I gotta work, or, oh, I gotta take this client. No, it's like, I fucking love it. Let's talk. Oh yeah. We got more people. Yes. Generating more of this dialogue so that they fill their cups, so that they can share, so on and so forth. So, I just wanted to bring attention to how far removed we are from this work based on what we've been conditioned to think and feel. And it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's such a beautiful thing, because we were literally put on this earth at this time and moment for this. This is our purpose. And congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations to y'all too.
Mm-hmm.
I've read books about that, and I can entertain that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. And yeah, there's a rewilding going on. And yeah, a lot of people, there's another one way you could describe it. It's just it's the endless suffering of what happens when people become domesticated.
Oh,
No animal does well when it's domesticated. Like those little lap dogs that you see that have 3 hairs and a snaggle tooth going like that, and they just sit there and shake in the summer. Even they're not cold. They've lost their innate ability to kick out stress, and a lot of you're seeing that. I'm seeing that in the left leaning woke movements, is that people have a razor thin margin of tolerance for ideas outside of their own, and it's called getting triggered. Microaggressions.
Weird.
Microaggressions. You've never been in a fight, have you?
No shit.
It's like it's that shit didn't. The only reason we have that is because things are too soft. Things are too comfortable. People have too much time. They've got too much food. And so what that does, like, rewind a couple hundred years ago and talk about a microaggression.
No
you get
shit.
you didn't have it's a luxury, numb nuts. And it is.
It's
and
true.
this is y'all enjoy this. And then we'll get into soft talk and then barbell shrug.
Yes, I was gonna say we need to talk about barbell.
So there's 3 other things. Okay. How long are your shows normally?
However long we want.
We get to do whatever the fuck we want. So if you want to be here for 4 hours, we'll be here.
Super cool. I got a hard stop in 40 minutes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Got another podcast. I get to go on another podcast. I know.
Oh boy.
And
can you share us with what podcast that is?
It's Darren Jensen. So he's I'm not sure what part of Canada he was in. He and his family. I'm happy to, you two would enjoy having them on. They homeschool their kids. They're all about that, not about that thing. And they moved down to Tennessee. And he was a first responder. He was a firefighter, and yeah, just some really cool people. And he and Christy are both enrolled into level 2 of our certifications. And he started a podcast and yeah, sign me up. I'm gonna do 1,000. We'll do 1,000 shows.
Oh yeah. So when are you gonna start your own?
1,000,000.
We have one.
Oh, you do have one?
Yeah,
okay,
we have a Get Enlifted. It's all about the words.
Got it.
Kimberly Kesting is the host. I go on there, maybe once every 6 weeks, but I'm in go on show mode. And we'll be at this pace. I'm looking at, I'll get to 1,000 in about 6.5 to 8 years.
Probably sooner than that. Just saying.
That could happen. I mean, yeah,
it's gonna happen. I just know these things.
Yeah. Good. Cool.
Yeah.
Good. So soft talk. It was the elbow. It was barbell shrugged. What was the other thing that I was going to talk about? Doesn't matter.
You said it was a question because it based off of a question or something.
Question.
I wish we could record or rewind right now.
We'll remember it.
Yeah.
We'll remember it.
Okay.
I'm loving this language talk. This is another level.
I'm happy to send you all some gift courses.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, for sure. If we stay on a couple minutes afterwards, we can do that immediately.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So there's 3 pillars to the victim mentality.
Okay.
And this is where most of the language patterns come from. Let's do a little review. Projections. You did that to me versus I did that to me. Okay. They insulted me versus I insulted me. All these things, right? And then we've got negations. I can't keep focusing on my past versus I can keep focusing on my future. I won't do that again. What was that? I heard some of that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Heard the sound?
Yeah. Was that
Oh, good.
I'm just pressing buttons as I'm clearing my throat chakra.
Good. I don't think. Yeah.
I was clearing and I pressed the wrong button. I'm trying to not
it, but you heard it.
I'm trying to not cough.
I love live produced
podcasts. I was like,
I heard it was something really bassy. It was like it was a cool, perfect.
I
and
just need you to
the real winners are the audience.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Sorry, buddy. Let's get back to that message.
Soft talk, projections. You get to those later, because that's where a lot of the venom and the poison and the real addiction to the story being true is, if we want to get all Byron Katie about it, is held. Negations that can take some mental elbow grease. Okay, so like, if I'm not going to do that again, what am I going to do? Let me think about it. And then there's soft talk, which is the gateway drug to the rest of your language. It's where we've been recommending this as the starting point for years, because it's simple and all you got to do is pluck the words out. So let me give you some examples of what a sentence with soft talk in it sounds like, and you tell me how this makes you feel. Okay. I think we might want to go ahead and do it.
Unsure.
It's almost like I'm procrastinating. I would probably make more progress if I was consistent.
Ugh.
How about this one? I've done this. It's embarrassing to admit. And most women have had a guy ask them out on a date, and it sounded something like this.
Oh, I'm ready.
Do you think you might want to maybe go out on a date with me one day, perhaps?
Maybe.
How's that feel?
It's like, maybe I will. I don't know.
So sometimes I have found, like, I've done this. Sometimes I found I did this just even fucking yesterday, and I'm writing a message out to my client, and I did the first thing that you said, and I reread it. I was like, that's fucked up, Tiff. What are you doing? Rewind, retype. Like, I think.
No, I know.
I know. I'm not think. I'm like, I fucking know. Why am I trying to beat around the bush here? Like,
that's called soft talk.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might need to spend some more time with my wife. Take out the think, take out the might. If you're saying that, it's likely the case. And here's what's even better news. All you got to do is take out those words. And if it's true, you'll know it in your feels. So you don't have to waste your time thinking about deciding. You can say the word and make a decision.
Okay.
Or, you know, I guess I might want to write a book one day. That's not going to happen. That's how books do not get written by people saying, I think I might want to write a book one day. They're going to say that same shit next year and next year. And it's going to stay a dream. It's going to stay a dream. Or, you know, maybe I'm self-sabotaging myself. Okay. That's the biggest cop out in the world. Because most people, if they're thinking that they're self-sabotaging themselves, and it's a weak move to put a maybe in there and let yourself off the hook. So you take out.
Is that why we do it?
Part of it, because change is scary.
Okay.
Change is scary, and it pushes the telephobia buttons, the fear of not being good enough. Okay.
Question: you're a master at this. Do you ever find yourself falling back into this language ever?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
And I get myself out damn quick.
That's right. Okay.
Because I know the words and I know what they feel like.
Yeah.
Like I can hear my thoughts. I hear my thoughts. I listen to my thoughts. And I do. I mean, I breathe. People are like, how do you know this stuff works? Well, I got several pretty decent metrics. And one of them is if my breathing starts to get high and tight, I noticed that right off the bat, because I breathe low and slow in my abdomen, parasympathetic nervous system response, a vast majority of the time. And that brings up another thing. We're known as the language people, and that's cool. It's nice to be known for anything. And we might as well be known as the language and the breathing people. And push comes to shove, it's about the breath. Okay. Yeah, I'm there to help people with their words and unlock their breath, because everybody makes better decisions when they're breathing well. Okay. You're way more fun to be around when you're breathing well. You're way way more likely to smile and laugh about stuff when you're breathing well. You're going to give a better presentation when you're breathing well. You're go out on a date and hold your breath. Tell me how that goes. Get on a sales call and hold your breath. Tell me how that goes. And we've got all this weird shit. It's like, oh, I've got social anxiety disorder. You mean you're holding your breath?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or, I hate it when people question me. You mean you're holding your breath?
Mm-hmm.
Or, I don't do well when taking tests. You mean you're holding your breath? And then you go and you walk through the wrong door, and then you get 19 labels and a bunch of extra prescriptions.
Yeah.
Sound fun? No,
Not
not at
really.
all.
Sounds like a whole lot of side effects.
It sounds like a whole lot of garbage.
Band-aids.
Yeah, I'm not that big of a fan of big pharma for a variety of reasons. One, they killed my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, love.
Yeah. You remember Johnson and Johnson's talcum powder, baby?
Yeah.
Talcum powder. Wow, they had a class action lawsuit because
Fuck.
those fuckers knew that their product, which they sold, talcum powder, baby powder, for years, decades,
Yeah,
it gave women ovarian cancer.
that's right.
And my mom used it for years, got ovarian cancer. They roasted her with a couple rounds of chemo and then cut her up a couple times, and then she's in the ground. And it's like, sorry, Pfizer. I'll go over to the Amish people. This is a true story. Across the street and buy a share in a cow and get raw milk and make kefir. That's that sounds way more fun than that. Oh, and by the way, I will moderate my thinking. I'm not going to outsource that to the fucking government. And so I can use my words well and breathe well. And the body just does all kinds of great stuff when people are breathing well.
But we don't want that, because we want you under our thumb, and we want to push the pill and just make us more money, because puts me on top, me on more control. So let's bring some fear into everybody else that we seem to have our thumb under.
Oh, for sure. Pucker people right up. And what's even better is if we could just get them to keep doing it to themselves. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. I had my friend of mine who was an Ayurvedic doctor. He said he used to say the English language is a slave language. And whether that's true or not, whether it was, now most people do enslave themselves with their words due to a lack of education, whether it was something that was done on purpose from the initial constructs of the English language, or maybe someone came in and like a Shakespeare type fellow and architected the words in a certain way to make it stress prone. There are ways of using most modern languages. If you want to get into some techie stuff, get into Benjamin Lee Whorf's work. There are some indigenous languages that it's impossible to create the victim-villain mental imagery.
No, because
they're talking about Benjamin
Lee Whorf.
Because this is why the English language is so difficult to learn, is because we use words to describe concepts, and we can manipulate the meaning of the concepts, where a lot of languages is just like, that's the concept of it. It's like the feeling that it gives you. And it's when we describe a sentence, you can't say it in other languages because it doesn't exist. Whoops. Not whoops. I'm not sure.
Whoops, not whoops. Yeah. I lived in Ecuador for a year and a half, and I did 10 workshops for, I don't speak Spanish, exclusive Spanish speaking people. And we had a UN grade translator, and we would do the exact same thing and get people to write down their stories and go into them and look for these words, and the language patterns match perfectly: projections, negations, and soft talk. Okay. And I don't know about other languages, but I'm pretty damn sure there's only so many ways I can piss myself off in Cantonese. I'm pretty sure there's only so many ways I can irritate myself in French. And so if you start paying it right, if you think about it like that, you start looking at the word. What words am I using in these thematically same stories? Now in English, it's projections, negations, and soft talk. And so to finish up the part on soft talk, what do? you pluck out the soft talk keywords. Here they are, folks. There's only a handful. Guess, think, maybe, could, might, possibly, probably, sorta, kinda, hopefully, try. I promise those words are in y'all's language. Everybody's listening to this, and they're doing shit. And that shit is creating excess amounts of indecision and doubt and inevitably fear. Malmodius said, he said, I prefer the fear of making the wrong decision to the terror of indecision.
Ooh,
How interesting is that?
Say that again.
I prefer the fear of making the wrong decision to the terror of indecision.
Indecision is the worst. You're stuck in a fucking cave, in a cage.
And if you'd stay there long enough, then you eventually identify yourself as indecisive, and then you get even better at it. So whatever we end up identifying ourselves as, I'm very punctual. When you practice being on time and you eventually identify yourself as punctual, you get better at being on time. And it goes both ways. You practice indecision. Oh, I'm just a really indecisive person. Now you're about to get a lot better. You're on your way to your black belt at indecision.
You're just affirming that shit to the universe.
Oscar awards.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you identify with? That is everything.
It's and it's it's your words that get you there. And so 2002, I moved to Thailand and turned myself into okay, I'll do barbell shrugged first. So 2016, we're on Koh Samui, where I met my business partner, Adam, and I wake up to a text right after, because we made payroll, and I wake up to a text. It was all capital letters, and he doesn't do that shit. We have $1,000 in the bank account. And I looked, I knew generally, I didn't know it was that kind of shit. And I was like, okay. So I go get a cup of coffee, and I message 5 people in the CrossFit space, 3 box owners, 2 gym members. I said, who's got the best podcast in CrossFit? For 2 reasons. One, I'd done I spent a summer in a CrossFit gym in Venice, and I was like, man, these people are adventurous, and they got goals, they got work ethics, and they're pack animals. And I even told my business partner, I was like, I bet this catches in the fitness industry, specifically CrossFit. And then for 10 years prior to that, I'd been doing this work in and out of yoga communities, and proven it's easy to do, that your stories that are up here that you haven't written down and that are told in certain ways, it's trapping your breath in your chest. And so I would get brought in to do trainings and TTCs and stuff. And so I knew that I knew what we had. And so they all 5 came back and said barbell shrugged. Now, at the time, barbell shrugged, it was Mike Bledsoe, Doug Larson, Kenny Kane came on there some, Marcus Guerzi came on there some. And one of the competitors came back and said, oh, by the way, Mike Bledsoe is aware of your work. Would you like an introduction? Yes, I would.
Yes, you would. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And in two emails back and forth, we're on the calendar. And I fly from Thailand. It's called showing up, folks. I fly from Thailand to Los Angeles to do a podcast.
Good for you.
And when that show dropped, we got introduced to the fitness industry through the best mouthpiece at the time. and we hadn't sold shit for courses for 2 years. Couldn't get in front of people. It's not the easiest thing to do. Or at least it's not going to happen in a weekend, folks. There's a better way to say it.
What made you go to the CrossFit industry? Like
me spending that summer in a CrossFit gym, I got the vibe. I was like, they want what they want, and
just strong ass people.
Yeah, and they're talking about mindset already. And I've got an important component of the conversation that they don't have yet. And yeah, so that show dropped. Everything changed. Everything's changed. 65% of our coaches are from the fitness industry. and it's going to the health and fitness industry. It's a fitness industry, and then probably another 15-20% of them are from other shades of the health. The what was that? That was that
She
same.
fucking did it
That was
again.
that same noise. No, that same noise. Is that some like? It sounds like Jabba
This is
the Hutt, something
this
like
is
that.
their little mixer, and it comes with 4 sounds, and she wants to hit. I know she's trying to hit the fucking clap.
No,
You're not trying to hit the
No,
clap?
I'm trying to mute myself so I could cough and
Oh.
not interrupt. And I'm interrupting you. And I'm
Have we talked about the
sorry.
Valarm yet?
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about the Valarm. We'll get to the Valarm. Val, we're talking about
Shout
you,
out to
Val.
Val.
Shout out to
Thank
Val.
you, Val,
Yeah,
for a couple
Saucier.
things for Mark
Yep.
and your laugh.
Oh yeah, I'm showcasing the magic button. Yeah, and so Mike and I become good friends, and a year later, we're in. So 2002, I moved to Thailand and crash and burn and turn myself into a grown ass man baby. That's a technical term.
Ow.
And then so fast forward 16 years, and Mike and I go into a jiu-jitsu gym, this a 10th Planet gym. These guys are very innovative in the jiu-jitsu world. They smoke a ton of weed and figure out new and interesting ways to take people's appendages in the directions they're not supposed to go. And so my jiu-jitsu does it should be right. Wait till this, you'll like this story. Maybe not. Got you laughing. And my jiu-jitsu should be in a museum somewhere. And so we go in and take a couple of classes, and I stay after and roll with one of their guys, and dude's good, and we're going back and forth, and he puts me in something that I think I can get out of because I don't know what it is. And we're going back and forth, and all of a sudden my arm rips out of socket.
He did that?
Oh yeah, which I could have done. I could have done the whole "he did that to me" thing, but
He didn't.
I went into. This is exactly what happened. Half the people in the gym heard it because there's only one thing that sounds like, you know, Jurassic Park in a jiu-jitsu gym, and it's soft tissue tearing. And got you again. And
fuck, it's just like, oh,
right, it'll give you the creeps.
Mm-hmm.
And he lets go of my arm, and I look at him, and I look at my elbow, and I look at him, and I look at my elbow, and I immediately go to my calendar. Out of all the things. So
how long is this going to take?
Even better.
Okay.
So that first time with me having all of my victim-centric stories in place, life threw me a curveball, and I turned it into the worst thing ever on the planet. Okay, it's called making a mountain out of a molehill. That's right. Life throws me a curveball after, you know, doing some work on my stories and using my language better and turning the volume down on my victim mentality. Yeah, so these, they're called snowflakes, or whether these people that are always aggrieved and oppressed and offended and all that stuff. No, you put some real pressure on them. Okay, not someone using the wrong pronoun. You put some real pressure on them, and they will melt. They can't handle it. Their psyche has been so redlined that they'll just explode. And I went to my calendar, and I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to take that kettlebell certification on it in a month. We'll go ahead and take that off. And we had this conference 6 weeks from then, fitness conference, and we had a booth, and I was like, because I knew I'd done something. It's like, you know what? I can do that with one arm. And Pascal's coming. It's no, I can do that. That's cool. And I go to Mike. I'm like, hey, dude, we got to go because I'm the one on the insurance. And yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here. So and we did. And I'm walking out the door, and my arm's flopping around. And because I'm not freaking out, I'm talking about some girl I think's hot, right? And
are you not pale in the face yet or anything?
Nah,
no,
nothing.
Oh,
and I had a Tommy
God.
John. I had a Tommy John surgery. I don't know if you know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
That's when
it's all lined up beautifully.
Oh yeah. That's when a Tommy John is when they go into your leg and in your hamstring and take out some important stuff and lace your elbow back up. So it's like, it was a legit, I mean, the dude ripped my arm out of socket, and it was like, it was to take out the like, it was no big deal. And I'm 16 years older than I was back then. And I heal a lot better because I'm breathing a lot better, because I'm not turning this thing into some proof that I suck as a person. Does that make sense?
There's a trauma getting removed a bit. Like I said earlier, that mindset, it changes the molecular structure of your body. That pain body kind of disappears.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And we have control over that, everybody.
Thank you. I'm so glad
Should
you
we do the
said
clap
that.
now? Now we can clap.
Thank you. Yes, we do have control over that.
We have control over a lot. You're right.
Well, when we can, I agree. You know, we start with breathing, you know, we have to be cognitively thinking about our breath work if we are holding it, and then bringing in the proper dialogue around that. And it's just like free flow from there. Like, watch the growth happen. Look at Gru. He grew. Mm-hmm.
That's some people would pay not to do that. And some people are built to do it. There's humanity is going in two different directions. There are people that want their sovereignty and freedom and to retain their humanity. And there are other people that want the Borg. You know what that is? Star Trek?
Tell us.
Oh, the Borg.
Yeah. It's transhumanism.
Mm-hmm.
That's the merger of man and machine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know who Paul Chek is. He's a G in the fitness game, and he's got a good podcast. And we flew from the East Coast to the West Coast to go do it in person. And I said this on his show, and he's way hip to all this stuff. Humanity plus technology plus the victim mentality equals the Borg, equals transhumanism, equals game fucking over. Okay, equals technocratic, omniscient, Brave New World meets 1984. Humanity plus technology plus a hero mentality or an architect mentality equals Star Trek. Unless a comet hits, we're not giving up our tech.
Well, it's the light side versus the dark side. Right?
Correct. It's and Star Trek, they're still having fun.
I'm such a nerd with Star Trek. I fucking love that show. Oh fuck, I'm such a nerd.
So you know what the Borg is? What does the Borg look like? Tell everybody what the Borg looks like.
Isn't it that planet, the machine planet? Yeah, and it's like it's like a dark planet. It's got a big trunk out of the side. It's probably from one of the episodes.
Sterile.
Yeah. Cold.
Nobody's laughing. Cold, sterile.
It's all machine. And anybody that does have a heartbeat is like green in the face. And like
oh yeah, they literally got machines coming out of them and in them, and it's like there's no free thought. There's no free thought. There's
if there is, you're thrown into the fire.
Exactly.
Or destroyed.
Exactly.
One thing I'm just going to say about that whole thing that I always like to say is we wouldn't move if we didn't have duality and if we didn't have that contrast. So I'm always so grateful for those experiences, because many people would still be in their old cycles if it wasn't for people that had to be the villain. We need somebody to play the villain, because if we don't, we just stay fucking still. And I really love the fact that we have that contrast to be able to see clearly now with eyes of love, or however you want to put it, and make our own fucking decisions and be radically responsible, sovereign beings.
Well, especially in this day and age.
Thank you.
This is the contrast that we need in this day and age. But
it's so good.
I think from the roots, we actually operated from that space. And we didn't need that contrast. When that contrast came in, it was like, what do you mean? What the fuck is happening? Our families are getting thrown in these camps now. And now our women are being raped and pillaged. And it's like, okay. But anyways, I don't want to go down that road.
Let's get back to the
language. It's good. You know, we had the guardrails. The light and the dark are our children. Let's be good parents. You know,
Totally.
Hmm.
So
So
Personal-
talk about for
Personal question.
last
yeah,
Do you
let's go.
do you have kids?
no, I do not.
Okay.
Mm.
Very cool.
Got 2 nieces. That's cool.
Okay.
Oh.
But yeah, this is yeah, I no kids, no wives, no ex-wives. I've been living out of my name hasn't been on a lease anywhere on the planet since 2001.
Wow.
I've been living out of a suitcase slinging the abracadabra. Yeah, before
Just
COVID,
slanging.
my passport was just wild.
You're just a
Mm.
free nomad, just freaking rocking your shit. Good job.
Thank you. And lucky me,
Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. I enjoy living this way. And I'm built for it. And you know, we've got a really cool family farm that I could come pit stop
Mm.
at any time I want, and recharge. And yeah,
Love it.
Well, it's the perfect space where Mother Nature just has a way of recycling all that shit energy and giving us back that nice, pure, loving, supportive energy.
for sure. I drive
Mm.
through the gates up
Mm.
there. And I mean, we're 10 minutes outside of a one stoplight town, so it's not like, yeah, I drive through and it's just home base.
Oh,
I love it.
good job.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, let's go. I want more.
How much time do you got?
I've
Where are
got
we at?
9 minutes.
Damn.
Okay, so what can you share with us in 9 minutes that will blow our socks off and our viewers? What does humanity need?
Don't
to
take
hear
9
from
minutes
Mark?
because I want you just to share a little bit more on how people can contact you and what your program is about. We have a lot of listeners that are just really leveling up in their personal development, and they're not stopping.
Yeah, and they're ready to continue on that direction of being freedom, having free life, freaking free thinking.
I know. I got an idea. Why don't we do them before you share all that? Why don't we start with a message that, something that you'd want to share with the world in the sense of such an important message that you're passionate about that could maybe change someone's directory? Because we know we're all one decision away of changing our lives. So what's some words of wisdom that you can give?
He's like, I've been already telling you for the last hour.
I'm looking at what we've talked about in my imagination and what I could elaborate on, as opposed to, which I can do I can talk about new things for sure, as opposed to and I'm happy to come back on the show and talk about the difference between stories kept in the head and stories, getting them written down and
Okay, we'll see you
aired out
tomorrow.
in
We can
in a certain
arrange
way.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Said-
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
that's
Let's do it.
that'd be hard to do that in 6 minutes. I thought about doing that about 20 seconds ago. Um, I'll summarize what because we've covered a lot of turf as far as storytelling and definitions and specific
Soft talk.
sentences and keywords and all those things. So to summarize, the best move is to summarize what we've done. I'm very happy to come on for a part 2. Everybody who's listening to this, your language is powerfully influencing you for better and for worse. And you have the ultimate say in the words that you believe to be true. And if something is bothering you, get a pen and a piece of paper and write out the words, even if the pen feels like it weighs 900 pounds. Get those words out of your head and written down, and make a pro move and look at the words, look at what's on paper in context to the well, this was a class, the curriculum that we covered here in this conversation, and take out some of the yous and put in I's, take out some of the she's and he's and put in I's, look for the negations, can'ts, won'ts, isn'ts, nots, and your paper is going to look like a bomb went off on it. Good. That's called drafting. That's called drafting. Take out the soft talk. Most people don't even have a draft to hand in. And remember in high school when you didn't hand in a draft? Okay.
Yeah,
Get
I
a
remember.
draft and then
Yeah.
then go in and change the words and rewrite it. And then
Yeah.
look but if you do 3 drafts, if you create a third draft about a story that's, annoyed you or hurt you or haunted you for God knows how long, if you pick that 900-pound pen up and write that thing on paper and change some of those words, I mean, don't take my word for it. Take your word for it. Take your new words forward. You'll feel it. And as the old saying goes, she who feels it knows it.
Oh, the feeling's healing, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's my that's the last thing I want to say about that.
Well, we've just given our audience some homework. Put
That's
that in
it.
the show notes.
It's time to
And,
yeah.
This is beautiful. So where can everybody find you? Are you on Instagram? You said you kicked yourself off.
I kicked them out of my life.
You kicked them out of your life.
I kicked
Attaboy.
off. I kicked it. I canceled Instagram.
Okay.
And we are on it in a strictly brand
Business
professional
brand.
manner.
Got it.
Yeah.
And what
At
is it?
Enlifted Coaches.
Okay.
That's IG. Our website, which has got all the info about the certs, enlifted.me. And we've got a podcast called Getting Lifted, and it's all about people nerding out on the words.
I love it.
I love nerding out. I feel I'm
That's
a
the
nerd.
best.
I'm a weirdo
Yeah,
nerd.
Tiffany is a nerd.
Fucking
It's the
weirdo.
best.
Yeah.
We call ourselves the Sacred Rebels. We're weird.
Nice.
Weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Little crazy. Some people say we're crazy.
I approve of this message.
Because you're a part of our weird. You're a sacred rebel.
You're being weird with us.
Welcome in,
Sounds
Soul
right.
Fam.
Yeah. We're forever friends now, Mark.
It's done.
I'm not gonna lie, I got a crush on you now. So
Wow. Really?
yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
I like the
Take that.
blonde hair, the beard. You're sporting it. You're doing great.
The country vibe.
Yeah. And the message is beautiful and it's a game changer.
That's
the
the real seductive thing, because it's true. It's true that our words are powerful. People know that. And especially when the conversation's had in a very simple way, which is what I specialize in, then it becomes practical and meaningful.
It's beautiful.
It's so amazing to see an awakened, masculine, sovereign being. Like, good for you. Thank you for answering the call. Seriously.
Yeah.
The masculine energy is needed so desperately in the world. And yeah, we're so grateful for you and for being on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering the call yet again.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes. So we're going to cut it out, but stay on. I'm going to stop recording and we will have a little chat. Thank you guys all for tuning in to Raw Babes 101. Please subscribe, do all the things that you know to do, and share this shit. Mark is going to be worldwide and his message is needing to get out there. Let's also start changing our fucking language. Be really mindful of the words you're using in the now. It's time to fucking level up.
You got it, girl.
Okay.
Preach.
If I could press stop recording. It's me and the buttons. Damn.